My youngest son and daughter-in-law just bought their first home, a 1950s ranch that needs a little love. Both friends and family members have been helping them pull up the wall-to-wall carpeting and ceramic tiles and installing LVP flooring in its place. And in today's video, I'll be making over the dining room. This space has a built-in buffet and a Dutch door that leads into a sunroom. The lower half of the walls are paneled and the upper half are wallpapered. So once the brown carpet was gone, we began pulling off that dated wallpaper. The top layer pulled off easily, but the paper backing remained stuck to the wall. So to remove it, we used a mixture of fabric softener and warm water to dampen the paper. Once that soaked in, it also peeled off easily. And to our shock, it revealed a gorgeous vintage mural. And it was in near perfect condition. The adjoining wall was also covered with an additional layer of wallpaper. This one coordinated with the mural, but since it was stained and scratched, I decided to remove it. And this area was much more labor intensive. First, I used a perforating tool to punch tiny holes in the wallpaper so that when I sprayed on the wallpaper remover, it could soak through the paper and loosen the glue underneath. Then came the slow part. Armed with a putty knife, I scraped away little bits of wallpaper, sometimes pieces no bigger than a quarter. So whenever I managed to pull off a larger section, it felt like I had really accomplished something. Once all the wallpaper was gone, I needed to repair the wall. There were numerous nail holes and damaged areas that needed spackling, including one fairly large hole. To patch that, I inserted a piece of cardboard into the hole and then covered the cardboard with caulk. After the caulk had dried, I covered the area again, this time with spackle, smoothing everything out so it would blend in with the rest of the wall. Once I had sanded all the repaired areas smooth, I was finally ready to paint. I had taken a small piece of the wallpaper to the paint store and had them color match it. The result was a beautiful creamy color that pulled perfectly from the mural and gave the room a much lighter, fresher feel. I didn't tape anything off, and honestly, you probably don't need to either. If you invest in a good quality angled brush, I think you'll be surprised at how easy it is to paint clean, straight lines around trim and along the ceiling. For the paneled lower half of the walls, I used the same paint color, but I had the paint store darken it a few shades, and I got it in a higher sheen. It's an easy way to add contrast and interest and still make sure that everything looks cohesive. Earlier, I said that the mural was in perfect condition, and that is not completely true because there was a streak of white paint along the top just under the crown molding. And so I decided to paint over it with the color matched paint. Was also paint along the bottom edge just above the paneling, but it wasn't nearly so thick. And so I decided to try removing it. I tried using a little paint thinner, which worked, but it also removed some of the color from the wallpaper. So I quickly switched to Household Goof Off, which worked really well and didn't damage the wallpaper at all. However, it did remove some of the paint from the wood trim. So when I was done, I had to go back and touch up the paint on the trim. Then to hide any remaining imperfections, I applied a thin bead of beige-colored caulk where the wallpaper meets the wood trim. Originally, we planned to replace the mirrors in the cabinet doors with plywood panels, but the trim holding the mirrors in place had been glued rather than nailed, and removing it would almost certainly have caused damage. So we decided to work with what we had instead. After giving the cabinet a thorough cleaning, I painted it the same color as the paneled walls. Using the same color helped the cabinet feel more integrated into the room rather than standing out as a separate piece. Since Madison had already filled the cabinet with some of her kitchen supplies, and to save myself some time, I simply painted the doors and drawers right in place. If you like the shape of your cabinet handles and knobs, you can easily update them with a coat of spray paint. But I really didn't like the modern aesthetic of these. And because I only needed a few, I went ahead and ordered some new ones from Amazon. And I got cup pulls because I know Madison loves this style. Now, to cover up those mirrors, you probably already guessed that I'm going to use peel and stick wallpaper. And yes, I'm going to spray the mirror and the surrounding area with easy hang spray, just like I do when I'm using peel and stick wallpaper on walls. This will allow me to adjust the paper and make sure the grain of the design is perfectly level. And it will also keep the excess paper from sticking to the painted door before I have a chance to trim it off. I took my time cutting along the inner edge, and I made sure my utility knife had a fresh blade. I've found that a dull blade will often cause the wallpaper to tear. As you can see, the large dining room window overlooks their wooded backyard, so privacy wasn't really a concern. But I still wanted to hang curtains because fabric adds so much softness and warmth to a space. And thankfully, this was a very budget friendly update because I found a large curtain rod on clearance at Walmart for just $15. And I was able to get four 63-inch long ivory curtain panels for only $14 total. I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty great deal. I hung the curtain brackets several inches beyond the window and mounted the rod high on the wall so the curtains would just skim the top of the cabinet. Since the kids didn't have a dining room table yet, I started keeping an eye out at the thrift stores. I thought a round or oval table would fit the room best. So when I came across this one, I grabbed it, despite all of the scratches. To improve the top, I used some furniture refinisher and extra fine steel wool to minimize some of the scratches. And as you can see, I had a couple of little helpers supervising the entire process, Rocco and Rambo.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
The table legs and apron were in such rough shape that I decided to go ahead and paint them with a couple coats of moss green chalk paint. Once the paint is fully dry, I'll come back and apply some antiquing wax, which will darken the color and give it an aged look. I chose this particular shade of green because it coordinates so nicely with the wallpaper mural. And since I wanted to highlight that color even more, I decided to try a dark green rug under the table. I found this 8 by 10 rug at Ross for just $100, which I thought was a great price for a rug this size. Then I brought in the dining room chairs. These chairs actually used to be in my own dining room, and believe it or not, they were a curbside find. Someone had set them out for the trash, so I picked them up for free. I was anxious to see what the table legs would look like once I applied the dark wax. I was hoping it would help tie the table in with the rug a little better. And thankfully, I was not disappointed. Just look how different the green paint looks with the antiquing wax. You may have noticed that this room is pretty dark. There aren't any lamps and the ceiling fixture doesn't work. So it really needed some additional lighting. I thrifted these two gold table lamps for just $5.99 each and planned to place one at each end of the built-in cabinet. The only problem was that there aren't any outlets nearby. There is this weird electrical box on the side wall that we're hoping can be converted to an outlet. But in the meantime, I ordered some rechargeable light bulbs from Amazon and simply tucked the cords up inside the lamps. The lamps provided nice ambient lighting, but I still needed to get the overhead light working. So I removed the old fixture, and once it was finally off, I discovered a problem I definitely wasn't expecting. There was no electrical box. In fact, there wasn't any mounting hardware either. Someone had clearly come up with their own DIY solution, and it was definitely a fire hazard. So I bought what is called an old work electrical box. But to install it, I first needed to make the hole larger. I traced around the box and cut through the plaster with my Dremel, which sent dust flying everywhere. And when the hole still wasn't large enough, I switched to a chisel to break off small pieces of plaster, which was a lot less dusty. I pulled the electrical wires through a hole in the side of the box and pushed the box into the ceiling. When you tighten the screws, wings on the side of the box flip out, holding it in place. Then I was able to attach mounting hardware so I could attach a new light fixture. However, it needed to be a lightweight fixture because the electrical box was not attached to a stud. I was very happy that the lights came on when I flipped on the circuit breaker. I added some thrift store chandelier shades that I thought would dress up the small chandelier. Unfortunately, a few minutes later, the lights went out and everything looked fine. So at that point, I decided to schedule an electrician. Sometimes you just have to call in the pros. With the mural on one wall and a large window on another, there was very little room for wall art. But I did thrift three small green frames to hang on the wall next to the Dutch door. To replace the art in the frames, I printed out three vintage landscape images in brown, green, and terracotta tones to coordinate with the mural. This artwork is in the public domain, which means it's no longer protected by copyright, so anyone may use it without permission. And in case you're wondering, as a general rule, copyright extends for 70 years after the artist's death. I hung the pictures vertically far enough over on the wall so that they could still be seen even when the Dutch door is open. Madison and I were not loving the Walmart clearance curtains. So I decided to hem a pair of old curtains that were originally purchased from Amazon for the living room in their rental home. They're faded from the sun, but with the curtains gathered at each side of the window, you don't even notice it at all. I love topiaries, especially in a kitchen or dining room, and I thrifted this one for just $2.99, but it did need a refresh. So I cut up some small greenery stems to add additional fullness and texture to the plant. I just poked small holes in the styrofoam, added a drop of hot glue, and then pushed the little stem into the hole. And when I finished, I tied a velvet bow around the sticks. And now you'd never guess that it only costs $3. I wanted to keep the decor simple because the vintage wall mural is the star. I used all thrift store finds to decorate the built in buffet, adding a few items next to each lamp and a wicker tray in the center. I did buy a new cream floral pattern table runner from Walmart, but the pitcher and the flowers in the pitcher were also thrift store finds. Well, this makeover's done, and it sure was full of surprises, both good and not so good. I hope you'll let me know what you think. But wait, it's not over. I had one more change to make. After taking the final photos, I noticed this bench in the kids' garage and wanted to see how it would look used with the dining table. So I rotated the table and placed the bench in front of the cabinet. I'm not sure which arrangement I prefer, so I hope you'll share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and if you'd like to see the kitchen and dining room makeover in Spencer and Madison's rental home, I've linked it here for you.